If you love boxing, this is the kind of matchup that makes you lean in. Terrence "Bud" Crawford, the pound-for-pound technician who dismantled Errol Spence Jr. and collected belts. The biggest active star in the sport, and the man who once climbed all the way to light heavyweight to win a title. It's the kind of stylistic and physical clash that forces one question on every fight fan. Can greatness and skill overcome greatness in size? Before we dive in, tell me where you're tuning in from and how you see this playing out. Would you back Crawford's brains, footwork, and switch hitting, or Canelo's power, experience, and super middleweight comfort? Drop your prediction in the comments. If you want more straight talk fight coverage, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you're the first to know when ring size, venue, and date details lock in. Why this fight has everyone talking. Canelo Alvarez has done things most didn't think possible. He moved up to light heavyweight and stopped Sergey Kovalev to capture a 175-pound belt. He then returned to 168 and went on one of the most dominant runs we've seen in the four-belt era, unifying super middleweight with chilling effectiveness. Whatever you think of individual performances, the result iron 168, titles at 154, 160, and 175, and the kind of box office gravity that defines the face of boxing. Terrence Crawford has built a different kind of legend, cleaning out divisions with precision and patience, becoming undisputed at 140 and 147, and delivering a masterclass over Errol Spence Jr. that looked like the work of a fighter at the absolute height of his powers. His timing, his reads, his ability to switch stances mid-round and rewrite an opponent's plan. That's why so many call him the pound-for-pound king. So why the divide? Because physics is undefeated, and 168 is Canelo's home. Floyd Mayweather's blunt assessment. Size matters at the elite level. Floyd Mayweather Jr. didn't dance around it. In his view, Terrence Crawford won't beat Canelo Alvarez for one fundamental reason. Wait, moving up in boxing isn't just about skill. Mayweather has seen both sides. He beat Canelo in 2013. He lived at 147 to 154 in his late career, and he knows what it takes to control a bigger man. His take is simple. Jumping from welterweight to super middleweight isn't one more mountain. It's 3 mountains stacked. You don't just climb it with technique. You climb it with bone density, legs, lungs, and a chin that's been conditioned to carry the extra mass. As he put it in one conversation about moving up himself, there are limits. I can't go all the way up to 180 or 190. The subtext is clear. Even generational talents must respect the physics of weight. Robert Garcia, cautious respect, and a narrow path for Bud. Trainer Robert Garcia offered one of the most balanced takes you'll hear. He sees the danger as obvious. Crawford is entering a division where Canelo has perfected his craft for years, against naturally bigger men. Canelo is comfortable, efficient, and ruthless in his pacing. Crawford, by contrast, at higher weights. Garcia said, the same moves that look explosive at 147 can look half a beat slower at 154 or 168. He noted Crawford didn't look his sharpest when he first tested the waters above welterweight. A reminder that acclimation is a real process, not a flick switch. And yet Garcia doesn't rule Bud out. If Canelo shows a flat-footed, one-shot-at-time rhythm we've seen in some recent outings, and if Crawford stays disciplined, 3 and 4 punch bursts, angles off the exits, and 90% of the night fought at the edge of range, Garcia believes a decision upset is on the table. He wouldn't bet on it, he said candidly, but he gives Crawford a real shot to outbox and outthink Canelo over 12. The case for Canelo's strength at 168. There's a reason so many respected voices lean Canelo. Joel Diaz, for one, points to the sheer physical gap. Canelo has stood in with Golovkin 3 times and walked the kind of thudding power only a natural middleweight/168 tank can deliver. Diaz's question is pointed. If Golovkin couldn't dent Canelo's chin, how would natural welterweight? He cited Demetrius Andrade's move up as a cautionary tale. Andrade looked sharp early against David Benavidez, but as the rounds and the weight took their toll, the bigger man's mass began to tell. To Diaz, that's what Crawford is up against. The invisible tax of a division you haven't lived in. Jeff Mayweather's reality check on the better than Floyd talk. When Canelo recently suggested Crawford might be better than Floyd, Jeff Mayweather snapped that conversation back to earth. To him, that's less about history and more about self-protection. Canelo lost cleanly to Floyd, and elevating Crawford creates an indirect excuse. I didn't lose to the best ever. I lost to someone who was better than even the best. The 2013 result was a majority decision because of C.J. Ross's notorious card. But in the ring, it was Floyd's fight, fought on Floyd's terms. Canelo backers countered with context. He was young, still green, and Floyd was at the peak of his late career powers. A debate sparked in the aftermath. Is 36 prime? For some fighters, yes. For others, no. What matters is what came next. Canelo internalized that lesson and built a second act that erased any doubt about his elite pedigree at 168. Gabe Rosado. The Floyd loss made Canelo who he is. Veteran Gabe Rosado framed the Floyd fight as a crucible, not a scar. He argued that Canelo's head movement, counter timing, and economy in the pocket improved dramatically after that schooling. You could see the adjustments, less loading up, more setting traps, a better understanding of when to take small angles instead of big swings. That version of Canelo, the matured, battle-tested one, is the man Crawford would have to solve. It's not just talent. It's experience built against larger opponents over hundreds of super middleweight rounds. Sebastian Fundora's warning, 168 exacta toll. Sebastian Fundora offered a practical note many at 168. He lives there. His camp cycles, sparring partners, and pacing are built for that load. Crawford has dipped his toe at 154, and now 154-160 talk occasionally surfaces. But jumping straight into a championship super middleweight fight means your body is doing two jobs at once, competing and adapting. Fundora's concern isn't just fight night, it's the aftermath, where the cumulative cost of carrying new mass shows up in recovery and sharpness. The ring size debate, 18 foot versus 22 feet, and whether matters. Another subplot fans love to argue. The ring. In an 18-foot ring, pressure fighters historically get more bang for their buck. Less space to circle, fewer long resets. In a 22-foot ring, movers thrive, especially those who pivot quickly and fight well off the turn. Crawford supporters argue a large ring is non-negotiable if you want a fair fight. Canelo backers say he's adjusted in ring and small against class competition. So dimensions decided. Here's the sober view. Ring size will shape the look and tempo, but it won't erase the realities of weight, power, and execution. A big ring buys Crawford time. It doesn't buy him durability. A smaller ring compresses Canelo's chase. It doesn't give him extra gas if he needs it late. If you're betting, it's a factor. It's not a guarantee. 3-time undisputed, and the legacy stakes for Bud. One prominent boxing analyst, you know the voice, underlined what's at stake for Crawford. Should he somehow overcome Canelo's size and power, his legacy would blast into a different stratosphere. In the four-belt era, no one has even attempted what this would represent. An undisputed welterweight king jumping 3 divisions to defeat an undisputed super middleweight champion. That doesn't automatically eclipse Mayweather's career, 5-0-0. 2 decades on top, spanning multiple eras, but would place Crawford right behind him in the conversation for modern greatness. Another commentator took it further, stacking Bud's possible achievement alongside the throwback work of Henry Armstrong, Sam Langford, Joe Gans, and Barbados Joe Walcott, accomplishments from a different era that required bold weight jumps and ruthless schedules. Hyperbole? Maybe, but that's what this fight unlocks. Imagination. It invites. What if the sport hasn't entertained in a long time? The hard ceiling. Great single wins versus great careers. Then comes a gently brutal reminder. One historic win is not the same as a historic career. To become the face of boxing, Crawford would need to do more at higher weights after Canelo win. Names like Dimitri Bivol or Artur Beterbiev at light heavyweight, or David Benavidez and David Morrell at 168. Fair or not, that's the bar for household dominance. Canelo didn't get here because he beat one big name. He got here because he kept taking and winning big fights, losing to Floyd, and chasing belts up the ladder. Crawford's form at 147, and what it does and doesn't tell us. Bud's demolition of Errol Spence Jr. was the best performance of 2023 and one of the most complete displays of championship boxing you'll see. He beat a great fighter in every phase, from the first timing shots to the last. That said, analysts caution against drawing straight lines from welterweight to super middleweight. Israel Madrimov at 154 offered a reminder of the kind of durability you meet as you move up. Crawford boxed brilliantly, but that fight didn't feature the same levels of dominance he showed at 147. That's not a knock. It's a reflection of physics and matchmaking. Spence is a great welterweight. Canelo is a proven super middleweight. The asks are different. Canelo's recent performances, a mixed read. If you're making a case for Crawford, you point to Canelo's slower feet in a few outings to one-shot hunting, the stretches where output lags. You say a disciplined switch hitter can exploit those pockets, land fast, get out clean, and never let Canelo get set. If you're making the case for Canelo, you highlight his patience, his body punching, his ability to chip away at legs and lungs until the second half of the fight bends to his will. You mentioned that even when he doesn't get knockouts at 168 or 175, he's walking bigger men down. And you mentioned that Crawford, for all his brilliance, hasn't felt a true elite super middleweight punch yet. Jeff Mayweather versus the revisionists. Back to the Floyd comparison. Some argue Canelo lost a razor-thin majority decision to Mayweather and was too inexperienced to compete with that level of defense. Jeff Mayweather flips that script. Floyd fought a young lion and took him into deep water all the same. Whether you believe 36 is prime or not, the tape is public record. The better question is whether the evolved Canelo post-Floyd can apply that education to a fighter like Crawford, who doesn't give you the same looks twice in 1 minute. A word on ring politics and who's setting the table. Fans have mentioned influential players who might be involved in bringing this fight to a major international venue. Wherever it lands, the business engine will be massive. Site fees, global broadcast rights, VIP hospitality, an all-out pre-event campaign featuring behind-the-scenes footage, long-form interviews, and shoulder programming built to sell a skills versus size narrative to casuals and die-hard alike. Expect an announcement on ring size, gloves, and officiating crews to arrive at the venue. Those details will be aggressively negotiated. Training camp wrinkles, the switch hitter puzzle. There's chatter that Canelo's team has considered bringing in elite switch hitters to mirror Crawford's rhythm. Think of the value in sparring rounds against someone who can fight both orthodox and southpaw at world-class speed. It's a smart tweak. If you're fighting Bud, the first rule is don't let him surprise you with stance changes. The second is don't let him set traps at mid-range. If Canelo gets consistent looks like that for 8 weeks, he'll start seeing combinations a beat earlier on fight night. Entertainment value versus boxing purity. A talking point bubbled up that Crawford's style isn't as entertaining as Canelo's. On paper that's odd, but highlight reel is full of clean knockdowns, mean counters, and emphatic finishes. But there's a kernel of truth about audience preference. Canelo's offense is uncomplicated and visceral. Pressure, bodywork, and damage you can hear through the TV. Crawford's destruction is surgical. He ends nights with